Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay. I'm a sculptor, and every week I make a new sculpture. Today I'm sculpting a Wendigo. A Wendigo is a creature from Algonquian folklore, often described as a gaunt, emaciated humanoid with sharp teeth, glowing eyes, and an insatiable hunger for human flesh. It is associated with winter, starvation, and cannibalism, said to be a person transformed by greed or desperation. In some stories, it grows larger the more it eats, forever starving no matter how much it consumes. This is actually the second Wendigo I've created on this channel, and I really just want to make a better one. And before we get started, don't forget to check out aceofclay.com to see all of the sculpting supplies I sell, like my Sculpt Like a Monster mat, super poker, wooden sculpture bases, armature wire, and more. Alright, now let's make another Wendigo. Alright, let's get started with the armature. I've got my wooden base here with pre-drilled holes, and I'm going to start shaping out one side of the Wendigo's body with some 10 gauge wire. After completing the first side, I mirrored it to create the other, and now I'm connecting everything together with another piece of wire for the neck with some 16 gauge wire. Now I'm going to brush on some Bacon Bond and start bulking out the torso with some ultralight. Now let's pre-bake this. And once it's baked and completely cooled down, I'm going to cover everything in some Super Sculpey Original. I want a nice even layer on that torso, and then we can start shaping out the rib cage. Using a medium ball stylus, I'm going to press out the negative space in between each rib. Now with a small ball stylus, I'm going to texture in between each rib. Using my spoon tool, I'm going to blend these little balls of clay in to create a protruding sternum. And I'm refining everything with my cone rubber shaper. To enhance this guy's emaciated form, I'm going to add some long snakes of clay down the abdomen to create some texture. And of course, blend everything in with my spoon tool. After the initial blending with my spoon tool is done, I'm using this cone shaper to really make things nice and smooth. We're going to be using this tool a lot for this project. To create the look of the skin stretching, I'm going to add a bunch of tiny snakes of clay like this and blend them in with my shaper so that they create that nice texture. I'm just going from rib to rib and stretching them diagonally, horizontally, vertically, whatever looks good. Now let's work our way down to the legs. I want to add my base section of clay first, work my way all the way down to the feet, and then we can start adding some muscle mass. So that this muscle structure makes some sort of sense, I am referencing basic human anatomy for it, but I want to elongate all of these forms to make it look unhuman. Real human anatomy is my starting point, and I'm just sort of embellishing it. Now for the feet. Inspired by bony dog paws, we're going to go for that sort of look, creating these little snakes of clay, blending everything in, and then enhancing where the knuckles are, and then just texturing up the leg from there. I'm going to add some claws later on. I just don't want to add them now because I don't want to smash them while I'm doing everything else. This guy will be covered in short fur, so we're just going to create a sort of duck tail down the middle here, instead of going for, a straight up G.I. Joe look. Now using these small balls of clay again, we're going to create protruding vertebrae down his back. And then blend them all in with my spoon tool. This is the same process I used on the sternum, I just want these to be a little more pronounced. And we're going to pop on some shoulder blades. Now let's take a break from the body and work on this guy's head. We're going to give him, of course, a classic deer skull. I covered a ball of aluminum foil and clay, added the snout, and now we're going to press in some of the details like the eye sockets. I want the skull on this guy to be way more deteriorated and weathered looking and skinnier than my previous Wendigo sculpture. Now using this blade, I'm going to separate the mouth opening and we can start adding the jaw details. To bring out the eye sockets a little bit, I'm going to add this tiny snake of clay. Now let's carve out all the holes all over this thing. And we're just going to continue shaping and detailing with this small ball stylus. I'm following a reference photo and just recreating what I see. Now let's add the teeth. Now we're getting somewhere. It's very important that when you're trying to recreate something, you get the basic shape of it figured out before you start working on the details, because if you don't have the shape right, everything's going to look off. But if your shape is right, everything's going to look correct. Now I'm going to go in with my Explorer tool and add a bunch of cracks all over the place. For some added texture, let's dab on some bacon bond before we bake it, and then poke in the holes for his future antlers. Alright, looking good. Let's pre-bake this. Alright, we're going to take a quick break from the video to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp. I always have so much going on with my business and my personal life, and after a while, it can really be a lot. I feel like I'm doing too much, and then I feel like I'm not doing enough, and after a while, I just get so overwhelmed that I freeze. When that happens, that can lead to things like anxiety, depression, and so on. Talking to a therapist allows me to work through my struggles. With BetterHelp, you get a safe place to talk where you can share what's on your mind, whether it's stress, sadness, worries, or relationship issues. The therapist, a trained mental health professional, is there to listen, answer questions, and help you see things from new perspectives. There's a journal inside the platform for personal reflection, and there are group sessions available every day on a number of different topics. Just fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. One of the best features about BetterHelp is that if your therapist isn't the right fit, you can switch to another one until you find someone you really connect with. They carefully make sure that all of their therapists are well qualified, and their customer care team is available if you have questions about anything at all. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. So if you're struggling and you feel like you could benefit from a therapy session, head on over to the link below or go to betterhelp.com/aceofclay. That's better, H-E-L-P. Doing so helps support this channel and gets you 10% off your first month of therapy. Now let's start working on the hands. I'm using some 16 gauge wire and cutting out 8 pieces that are all the same length, and I'm going to tie them together with some floral wire and then create the arrangement of the hand before I start adding my clay. And yes, this guy is going to have 4 fingers on each hand like the majority of my sculptures. Now we're going to start adding the clay, starting with the palm area, and then we're going to bend out the fingers before we add the clay to them. This is Living Doll, by the way. We're going to go with some long, human-like bony fingers. After all the clay has been applied, it's time to make those knuckles and joints extra bony looking by adding little balls of clay and blending them in. And of course, we can't forget some tendons on the back of the hand. If you want to watch a more in-depth hand tutorial, I do have a dedicated video for that on my channel using this same armature method. And let's finish it off with some long pointy fingernails, and then make the other hand off camera. Alright, now let's create the antlers. I'm just twisting some 16 gauge wire together and some floral wire to create each one. And of course we're going to brush them with Bacon Bond before we start adding our clay. One snake of clay at a time. Once they're done, we're going to add them to the pre-baked head. And then attach the head after adding some Bacon Bond into that little hole so it sticks real good. And then of course we're going to add some more clay to connect the head to the neck. Now to attach the hands to the body, I added some more floral wire to the end of each hand, and I'm just wrapping it around the arm armature. I'm making sure it's really tight and secure so it doesn't move around when I'm adding my clay. Now that everything's in place, let's go ahead and make those arms. Now let's texture them like crazy. Using this blade, I'm going to cut out some clay down to the armature wire so it looks like exposed bone. We're going to do this in a few different areas. Using some flexible clay, we're going to finish this guy off with some creepy, wispy, pokey pieces of hair on his shoulders, elbows, and wrists. And just like that, he's ready for his final bake. After baking and cooling, we're going to give this guy a nice black primer coat with our airbrush. I'm using a gallery airbrush. This is the Mobius 0.2. It's absolutely amazing, and I have absolutely no problem promoting them because I 100% stand behind their products. If you want to save 10% on your airbrush, you can go to gallery.com and use my code ACEOFCLAY. After getting my black coat down, I'm going to go in with some lighter brown, and we're going to highlight everything. My airbrushing process consists of getting all of the base tones and colors down so that I can go in later and hand paint all the details. Airbrushing like this not only creates a smoother looking effect, it's also a lot faster. Now let's get that base skull color down. Do you see how I have nothing taped off and there's like no overspray from this skull color? Yeah, that's gallery for you. Alright, our airbrushing is done. Let's start hand painting. I started by adding a wash over the entire thing, and now I'm going in with a fine brush and adding some white lines all over the place, concentrating on areas that I want to be brighter. Using black, I'm going to create some harsher lines and tighten up that wash. Now let's add some brown to the antlers. Before I start dry brushing the body, I want to add a dark wash to the torso just so my dry brushing stands out more. Now let's go in and kiss all of those nice details with some light gray. And I'm just going to paint all of those exposed bone areas, starting with the blood red and then the bone color, and we are going to tie everything together on them with a brown wash. Look at how this wash just finishes everything off. Oh, and if you're wondering what paints I'm using, these are Army Painter Air and the regular ones. I do have an Amazon affiliate link below if you want to go through that. It's a kit with pretty much every single color. Now let's paint up that base. And if you're wondering, I do sell these bases on my website, aceofclay.com, with or without pre-drilled holes. And then while I was editing, I realized that this guy needed something else, so I painted all of the ribs with some bone color, added some blood around them, and then brought everything together with a brown wash. I didn't record it because it was like spur of the moment, but you'll see it in the final shots. And it's done! My Wendigo sculpture is complete. Let me know how you think I did in the comments. I definitely think this is an improvement on the first one. The first one actually broke in transit back from Monster Palooza, so he's all cracked up in my basement, so this is kind of like his new and improved replacement. As always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Ace of Clay, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.